send it down to the third member of our team, Emily Eman.
Well, guys, you mentioned that strong defensive week one performance off the top. And defensive coordinator Joe Rossi told me he was impressed with his team, but they're still working to get improvements from week one to week two. And the biggest improvement that he wants to see, communication from his defense, led by veterans Tyler Nubin and Mariano Sori-Marin. But he wants to see all other players echo that. Rossi said he knows this game might feel like a Super Bowl to Western Illinois, and because of that, the Leathernecks are going to throw in a lot of what he calls trickery. And he said his defense has to communicate early and be ready for anything thrown their way.
Thanks, Emily. Don't forget to download the Fox Weather app. Pretty day for football here in Minneapolis, low 60s. Kind of how it should feel around this time of the year.
I certainly wish I had that app. I got here Thursday, it was 90 degrees. Yesterday was pouring rain, and today it's perfect. Never know what you're going to get.
In Minneapolis fashion. The Gophers won the toss and opted to receive. And off we go in Minneapolis. Tanner Morgan and this Gopher offense that scored 38 points will bring it out first. Brock, you said to me yesterday, you've been following Tanner Morgan for 6 years. You've never heard a single bad thing about him.
Not a single thing, and it goes hand in hand with Coach Fleck. Let's remember, he was committed to Coach Fleck's former school, and he said, Coach, you're going there, I'm coming with you. And while those stats may not jump off the page, what you see if you followed him his whole career, he looked confident last week. He looked poised in that pocket. He looked decisive, something that we didn't see last year. Tanner Morgan's back in action.
41st career start, most of any active QB in the Big Ten. He's got a veteran-laden backfield as well. Goes to the air on the opening play and has a connection with Michael Brown-Stevens. A little elusive move out past the 40.
And that's how you set the tone right there. Everybody thinks Minnesota's going to run the football. So for the time being, they're just going to keep throwing the ball in the very first play. Mike Brown-Stevens, yes, he is shorter in stature, but look at him there. He is tough to get on the ground, a speedster.
Led the Gophers in receiving yards in week one. Had 3 catches for 52 yards. Picks up right where he left off. Three receivers on the bottom of the screen this time. They go back to Michael Brown-Stevens. Ball came out, and Western Illinois pounces on it. An early turnover and mistake from the Gophers. That's Bryce Cross who collected it off the turf.
And that is how you suck the energy out of a stadium. Once again, just trying to get your athlete in space. Nothing fancy, fake the run. Get out there, and right here, an incredible job by Bryce Cross, not giving up, standing his guy up, knowing that his defenders are coming. So you know what? Let me go take a rip at that. And Mike Brown-Stevens has to find a way to hold on to that rock because, boy, this stadium got real quiet.
And if you're Western Illinois, that's exactly what you drew up. You don't want to be the team that makes the mistake in this game if you're the underdog, but instead there they force it. And now the first offensive possession for the Leathernecks will start on in plus territory.
The old gunslinger, Henry Ogala.
Ogala gets the start today. Leathernecks used 2 QBs a week ago. Also Nick Davenport starting out with an empty backfield here.
DBs all over the field when it comes to this Minnesota defense. They want as many on the field as they can possibly get. Definitely not the first possession that they expected to be out there for with the current circumstances, but you better believe Ogala is ready to sling it, and they're going to take a shot early.
See if they try to pounce on the mistake right away. Ogala pumps, uses his legs here, and squeaks through for a minimal gain of 3.
Now, Henry Ogala, he has the stronger arm between the two. In all likelihood, we'll see Nick Davenport at some time, but Henry Ogala, he is an athlete. Coach told us we don't like many designed runs for our quarterback, so Ogala uses his legs not always to run, but more so just to stretch out the play and elongate his chances.
This time a little trickery. This is what you were expecting early on. It's Jay Parker looking for the edge and brought down by Tyler Nubin over on the sideline.
And this is what we talk about when we say leaving no page of that playbook unturned. they're going to throw everything that they got at him. Now you get your motion going to the left here, and you just hope that there is a safety paying attention. Thankfully, you got Tyler Nubin there tracking the hip, getting him out of bounds, because if he wasn't there, oh boy, that may have got ugly.
So 3rd and short for Western Illinois. Ogalla rolling with plenty of time. It's in and out of the hands of his intended target, Jalen Jackson. So a big stand there for the Minnesota defense after the turnover.
An incredible stand, and what they tried to do there was flood the field. New Mexico State didn't get much against this Minnesota team, but they did have success flooding the field. That's when you put all of your receivers within the same 20-yard zone, and you just don't have enough guys to cover them. Fortunately for Ogalla, that ball was overthrown, but he's still under that center.
It's an early gamble for Myers Hendrickson and this Western Illinois staff. Going for it on 4th and 3. Ogalla to his right again, and that came up short of the yard to gain. Brought down by Jordan Howden out of the open field. What a tackle.
There is not a safety duo you would rather have. I tell you what, Howden and Nubin, they are too smart, they are too physical.
Well, Minnesota hasn't faced much adversity so far this season. How about the defense responding early in Minneapolis?
Time on the field.
Welcome back to Minneapolis. Gophers offense getting set to trot back out onto the field. Well, if you're looking for the Ohio State-Arkansas State game, go to btn.com/gamefinder right now to see where you can find the game in your area. Plenty of action on our air today. Brock Furry, Jason Ross Jr., Emily Eamon down on the sidelines. The Minnesota offense trying to respond after the fumble on their first possession. Michael Brown-Stevens coughed it up. Now they go back to work. Well, Ibrahim getting into the interior of that Western Illinois line. Brought down promptly. We'll bring up the time, Brock, for our impact players today. A few guys who you're really keying in on.
Well, it is the man of the hour, Mo Ibrahim, who just took that run. 100 rushing yards in a school record 10 consecutive games. Chris Ottman-Bell, 39 reception streak, also the longest in the FBS. Anthony Quinney, 15 tackles in his debut last week.
Ottman-Bell matched up one-on-one at the bottom of your screen there against J.J. Ross. They go back to the ground with Ibrahim powering his way off a couple of tacklers. It's really a violent brand of running, isn't it?
It certainly is. I could watch him run the football all day long. Patience to violence is how I describe him. They love this zone in this Coach Shiraka scheme. You have to be patient. You can't just go at the first sign of daylight. You have to let the play develop. But when he plants that foot and gets downhill, do not be in his way.
Also should see Trey Potts and Bryce Williams today. Ibrahim taking the brunt of the carries as usual. Another 3rd down for this Minnesota offense. Morgan throws it to Ibrahim out of the backfield, slipped to tackle. Did he get enough for a first down is the question mark. They are going to move the chains here. So right at the 50.
There's a million ways to judge a running back. How I judge it is how often does the first defender get you to the ground? And as we saw Mo Ibrahim shed him right there, it's rarely ever. And that is a first down, a close call, but that ball was far enough.
It was close. 21 carries, 132 yards for Ibrahim a week ago and didn't play the entire game against New Mexico State. Morgan first deep shot to Ottman-Bell and has him over on the sideline. That was that one-on-one matchup we were looking at.
And when Chris Ottman-Bell is in a one-on-one matchup, Morgan is going to find him. He is a crisp route runner, the leader of this wide receiver room. And quite honestly, he had that corner lost 5 yards into the route, and that streak has now become what, Jason?
40 consecutive games with a catch for Ottman-Bell. The consistency is just incredible.
The name of the game is consistency when it comes to Morgan and Ottman-Bell.
Second longest streak in school history, trailing only Ron Johnson, who had 46 straight games with a reception.
Plenty of games left.
Plenty of games left.
Watch out, Ron.
To the ground this time, patiently picking his way as Ibrahim brought down by the ankles there. Juan De La Cruz made the tackle.
Great play by De La Cruz. This Western Illinois defense has set the precedent. If you are going to beat us, you're going to have to throw the football. They're leaving their guys in single coverage with no help, and they are loading that box.
Western Illinois struggled on defense in week 1 against UT Martin. Gave up over 500 yards. They've bounced back early here. This Minnesota team in plus territory. Another crossing route. That ball in and out of the hands of the intended target, Chris Autman-Bell. That time on the coverage was Jalen McKee.
Once again, single coverage. They are going to challenge their guys. Jalen McKee, 5'7", 160 on his own versus the veteran Chris Autman-Bell. The ball was where it needed to be. He just has to hold on to it through contact. Credit to Jalen McKee, packing a punch.
First incompletion for Tanner Morgan. It was 4-4 prior to that.
Possibly 4 down territory. Minnesota still trying to get that stink of that early fumble off of them.
3rd and long here. Morgan over the middle as a completion. It's Bryce Williams that time coming onto the field and getting up right near the yards gain. What do you think here if you're Coach Ciarrocca?
I'm going for it. I'm going for it. Bryce Williams, you're going to see him here. Hey, you're going to leave that area uncovered. I'll take a 9-yard gain when I can get it. You have to go for it. That early fumble, you just have to shake it off. You have to go for it. And when you just saw your defense do what they did last series, yeah, we don't think you're going to be able to drive the ball 75 yards on us.
So the Minnesota defense stopped Western Illinois on 4th down. Now the Minnesota offense giving it a go of their own.
Single coverage up top.
Instead go to the ground, and Ibrahim plunges forward. It's enough for a Minnesota 1st down.
And when you get an opportunity to hand Mo Ibrahim the football and lower a shoulder on somebody, he is going to take it. See that zone once again, he's just going to let them clear out. And at that point, it's mano-a-mano, him and Bryce Cross. I'm going to take Ibrahim every single one of those times.
Not a bad bet. They look to the sidelines again here. Just a red zone opportunity for the Gophers, and Ibrahim ducks ahead for a gain of a few more. One like that, you make sure your offense stays on schedule. Open up the playbook a bit.
Without question. And what often happens with an early turnover is an offensive coordinator can panic and say, well, things aren't going the way that we thought they were. We need to make up for that lost possession. And while you use that to fuel you, you stay on script. They are staying on script here, and that's what comes with a coach like Ciarrocca.
Offense last week, 288 rushing yards, 188 through the air. Morgan to the air again here, pressured, lobs it up to the end zone, out of the reach of Autman-Bell, and there are a couple of flags down on the field.
And this is a cornerback. This is a cornerback doing everything that he can.
Holding.
There was good interior pressure
Defense
there.
number 1. Half the distance to the goal, automatic, 1st down.
Chris Autman-Bell running a beautiful post corner. That corner knows I'm beat here. I'm going to grab you and live to fight another down. But that interior defensive line, I mean, Coach even said when we spoke to him on Wednesday, I like my D-line depth over there at Western Illinois. They're making their presence felt on the run and the pass.
It's a relatively inexperienced group all around for Western Illinois, building with this new coaching staff. That last penalty sets up the Gophers at the 10. They keep it on the ground. Trey Potts tripped up just prior to the goal line.
We've now seen all 3 monsters of this running back rotation. Here is Trey Potts. He likes to get vertical. He's a little different than Mo, and he gets to his top speed a little faster. His top speed is a little faster than Mo, so they're going to keep him between the tackles more often. They just want him to plant his foot, get vertical, and as you saw there, tough to bring down as well.
They bring Ibrahim in now, loading it up with this goal line set. They give it to Ibrahim, stretching ahead, came up short once again, so the Western Illinois defense will force a 3rd and goal now.
Looks like Mo tripped up a little bit there, but let's not kid ourselves. This is a 4-down territory situation yet again, and when you got those running backs in the backfield, you trust that you can punch this in from 1 yard.
Look at the red zone success from a week ago. We're picture perfect. Looking to continue that this week. They go to Ibrahim again, stretching his way. Still awaiting a signal, and he's in. The Minnesota touchdown, thanks to the legs of Mo Ibrahim, puts the Gophers on top.
What you say is, hey, Mo, we're going to bring all of our linemen on the field. We're going to turn around and hand you the ball. We're going to see if you can get a yard. What do you say? And it seems to work more often than it doesn't. Still plenty defensive line pressure, but you cannot stop his momentum when it's only 1 yard that he needs to gain. But Jason, still, I'm impressed with this defensive line from Western Illinois, but Mohamed Ibrahim, way too much to bear there.
They made it tough. Matthew Trickett splits the uprights. 7-0 start for Minnesota. 12 plays, 60 yards. Shade over 6.5 minutes.
Time on the field.
It was a gritty drive and a bounce back on the legs of Mo Ibrahim after the fumble. Minnesota up 7-0 early. Let's take a look at our scoring drive presented by Marathon. Mo Ibrahim capping it off there. 12 plays, 60 yards. His 36th career rushing touchdown, by the way, now just 4 away from that all-time record.
And it was methodical. It was methodical. 4 touchdowns away from that record. Daryl Thompson has become a great friend over the years, and he better have a long, slow dance and a nice hug with that record, because Mo Ibrahim is the new man in town come October.
Dragan Kesic will kick off here. Jay Parker and Jafar Armstrong both watch the ball sail over their heads. Well, coming up, the triple header continues with 4 matchups, including the rivalry showdown between the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones. Plus, 14th ranked Michigan State hosts Akron. Big Ten football powered by Unleaded 88 today at 4 Eastern on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. A little rivalry action there. Iowa State. Iowa trying to bounce back offensively this week. Michigan State playing an Akron team that struggled in the back a season ago. Had a slim victory in week 1, did Akron. Minnesota will travel to East Lansing in a couple of weeks for what should be a big conference showdown. Right now trying to take care of business against the Leathernecks, who have some confidence early on. If you're just joining us, they forced a fumble on Minnesota's opening possession. Minnesota answered by stopping the Leathernecks promptly and then scoring a touchdown on the legs of Mo Ibrahim. There's Thomas Rush making the tackle there. Brings up 2nd and short, though, for the Leathernecks. Hands it off. That is Mariano Sori-Marin. Wow. One of our impact players for today and showcasing his physicality.
He certainly is. And you're facing a team with 2 physical running backs and 2 mobile quarterbacks, so you need a guy like Sori-Marin in the middle. You also have Justin Wally. Oh, my God. I cannot wait for them to test him because he knows how to get it done. And Nassim Brantley, 3 touchdowns a week ago. 6'4", 200-something pounds. Him on Wally, it may be coming right here because they love throwing him the football time and time again.
5th-year senior Sori-Marin forces now a 3rd and 4 for this Western Illinois offense. They go to the air, one-on-one matchup. It was Terrell Smith this time in the DB spot. That's what you're looking for out of the coverage.
And last week for Western Illinois, they threw up 5 or 6 fade balls before they even connected. They love that fade. If they trust their receiver, which they do, and they see single coverage, they don't care if he's single covered, double covered, whatever. That is not the only time we're going to see that. When they need something going, they are going to Brantley, and they are going to the fade route. Terrell Smith, his length, able to stay with him.
In practice this week, Minnesota, they had a player actually wear an 18 jersey and would just keep lobbing it up to him to simulate exactly that.
On 3rd down, if you want to know where the ball is going, just find 18.
Quentin Redding hauls it in at his own 35. So the Minnesota offense looking to back up what they did on the previous possession when we come back. The 36th career rushing touchdown from Mo Ibrahim makes it 7-0 in favor of Minnesota. Emily Eamon has more on Ibrahim.
After that touchdown drive, Mo Ibrahim was as calm as ever. He patted Tanner Morgan on the head and went on his way down the bench. And after Ibrahim missed most of all last season to an Achilles tear, Coach Fleck told me he didn't just want Mo back this season. He wanted a new and improved Mo. And Fleck says the biggest jumps that he's noticed is the calmer presence that he brings, the way he carries himself and leads by example.
Thanks, Emily. Yeah, Brock, you and I talked about the appreciation that he has for the game. Trey Potts as well, among others. When you have something taken away from you, you just love it all the more when it comes back. Tanner Morgan's looking downfield. A deep shot out of the hands. That time, looking for the intended target. It was Dalen Wright downfield.
They were trying to make something happen there, and Dalen Wright is... potential is a word that comes up a lot with him. He had an incredible catch in the season opener last year, and just like that's become the story of Dalen Wright. It's almost getting it there, but do not think that he does not have the talent. Do not think that this offense is moving on from him. He is an impact player. It just needs to connect. Consistency is the word of the week with Dalen Wright.
He was having 7 a.m. film sessions with Tanner Morgan in the offseason, those two working together. This time, Chris Ottman-Bell has a burst after the catch to get up near the 50.
Sometimes it's as simple as just getting the ball in your athlete's hands in space as quick as you can. Little play action and a quick good drop. Chris Ottman-Bell making 2 guys miss and then getting 12 yards on top of that. He's a big frame, 210 pounds, 6'1". He's stocky, and he is just tough to get to the ground in open space.
A little yak.
Yeah, you know it.
2 catches, 32 yards for Ottman-Bell so far. Morgan, quick slant over the middle. It's caught. More yards after the catch. Michael Brown-Stephens plunging his way down into the red zone.
And now this offense is saying, okay, we've established the run. If you're going to sit in single coverage, we are going back to our RPO, baby. We are throwing this ball over the middle. Tanner Morgan, there's so much open space. That RPO, when it is run to perfection, you always make the linebacker wrong. Hey, if you sink back on the receiver, we're handing it off. If you come up on the running back, we're throwing it over your head for a big gain just like that.
Morgan already over 100 yards passing, 7 of 9 through the air. They go to the ground this time, showcasing the balance. Trey Potts hits the edge. Potts diving for the pylon, has the end zone, a Minnesota touchdown.
Look at Trey Potts flashing his skill set. Patience on the inside, but he is not afraid to bounce it. And when you get in the open field, 1, he's faster than you. 2, he's stronger than you. And we do have a guy down on the ground, but that is unmistakably a touchdown, a trademark Trey Potts run. You will see speed and strength.
Trey Potts at 89 yards last week. Back-to-back weeks with a touchdown run now for Potts. And a 13-0 start for P.J. Fleck and Minnesota.
Time on the
Extra
field.
point when we come back. Welcome back to Minneapolis. Good to see Trey Henry up, walking on his own there. 4 plays, 65 yards, that last drive capped off by this touchdown run.
And I love how he doesn't force it to the outside. He thrives out there, but a lot of running backs get the ball and say, okay, I'm going outside. No, he was patient. He waited for the opportunity. But here's the balance right here with strength and speed as we see number 6. Looks like rolled up on, maybe planted weird, but he immediately grabs that lower body. It's great to see him walking off the field under his own power. But Jason, with these running backs, I mean, last year, injury after injury after injury. And yes, Mo Ibrahim, it's incredible to see him back, but also Trey Potts, incredible to see him back. Bryce Williams, who got in the game earlier, incredible to see him back. I cannot stress enough how desperate they were. We were talking about Derek LeCaptain earlier. He came out as a fullback for that first touchdown. He was asked, hey, you played running back in high school. I know you're a linebacker for us right now. Can you go play some running back? Jason, they were 1 or 2 injuries away from asking you to go down there and run some outside zone. It was bad, but it's so beautiful. And we were watching the player introductions. Whenever a running back was mentioned, this crowd went crazy because they understand, man, what a difficult situation they were in a year ago.
Everyone around here is appreciating it a little more, aren't they? Well, now they'll try to tack on the extra point. 2 rushing touchdowns so far, 1 for Ibrahim, 1 for Potts. Matthew Trickett on to try to make it 14-0 here in the opening half. Does exactly that. And a solid start for the Gophers. Again, fumbled on their opening possession, but have answered back with back-to-back scores. The latest coming on the legs of Trey Potts, patiently finding the end zone. The football on the Big Ten Network is presented by Marathon. Marathon is the official fuel of the Big Ten Conference. Marathon, get the most out of your drive. Minnesota fans making the most of this beautiful Saturday here in Minneapolis. Brock Vereen, Jason Ross Jr., Emily Eman with you. And so far, Brock, this Minnesota group not giving Western Illinois much hope. That's what you want to do against a group that's young and trying to find their identity.
The last thing you want is to finish a quarter or going into the half with a school that you should be beating up a little bit with hope. Because if they come out in that second half and they have hope, you are in trouble. So it didn't start good with that fumble. And, you know, Western Illinois came out trying reverses. I'm sure they had other stuff dialed up, but they stopped them, and now they got 14 points on the board. There's a deep breath of relief now from these Minnesota fans thinking, okay, for now, things are back stable.
Dragan Kesic will boot it away. Jafar Armstrong and Jay Parker back for Western Illinois. That sails out of the end zone. Well, it's a packed Saturday today. Next Saturday, we are all Big Ten all morning. Dave Revson, Jerry DiNardo, Howard Griffith, and Nicole Auerbach preview every matchup, while Mike Hall, the great Mike Hall, and our very own Brock Vereen deliver all the fun from Bloomington. Big Ten Tailgate presented by Tums next Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern on the Big Ten Network. You pumped for Bloomington next week?
Cannot wait. I know the pizza spot. It's called Mother Bear's Pizza. I know what I'm ordering.
Some Rex today from Emily?
Absolutely. She's a Bloomington native. We were speaking of that trickery earlier. We saw this was going to be something fancy dialed up, but it looks like
False start. Offense number 64, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And that just eats you alive because you practice that all week long. They probably got 5 or 6 gadget plays dialed up, and 61 must not have got the call or didn't know what was going on because it ruined what was probably going to be a shot deep.
How many times did we hear Minnesota defensive coordinator Joe Rossi use the word execution throughout the week? It goes on both sides of the ball. Both coaching staffs want to see that today. Davenport in the game now, goes downfield, has a connection. That is Jafar Armstrong, a deep shot into Minnesota territory at about the 35.
Jafar Armstrong is dangerous. They line him up all over the field. He came from Notre Dame, then he went to Illinois. We're looking at him here, and Jordan Howden is in phase. He just mistimes his jump. He has his guy. He just has to time that jump better because Armstrong, 6'1", he's going to go up and get that football.
38 yards there for Western Illinois. We knew they would take some deep shots today. Now they're looking for the edge. Jay Parker ran out of bounds there on the sideline.
And here we have Nick Davenport. We were talking about Ogala. He's the stronger arm. Well, Nick Davenport, he's a little more accurate. Yes, the 9 for 19 isn't as impressive as Ogala's performance, but Coach Hendrickson told us Davenport is putting it on the money when he can, and that was a great ball right there to Armstrong.
Yep. Davenport also ran 8 times last week, uses his legs here, picked up 62 on the ground a week ago. This time he'll pick up about 6.
We were talking to Coach Hendrickson, and he said, you know, we don't run our quarterbacks too much, and we're both looking at each other like, well, you should, because they're both athletes. Both of them 6'3", 220 pounds, and can move. So even when you catch them in the open field, they're not just going to go down. They have no interest in sliding. You have to tackle them.
Mariano Sori-Marin made the tackle. Several substitutions here for the Gophers. Sori-Marin is directing traffic right now. You see a little miscommunication there.
Tons of it.
First charge timeout, Minnesota. It's a 30-second timeout.
3rd and 4, a big 3rd and 4 for Western Illinois when we come back. We'll see if the Minnesota defense can sort out what they're having some issues with prior to that break. Meanwhile, Nick Davenport and the Leathernecks have a big 3rd down and 4 here.
A lot of space for him to run. It's mano-a-mano with him and Sori-Marin. They're going to trust their corners in coverage because they know Davenport can scoot if he gets a window.
It is interesting. Sori-Marin, the only linebacker in space there. Davenport drops back, little crossing route, in and out of the hands of the intended target, Jafar Armstrong. Michael Dixon on the coverage there. So now decision time for the Leathernecks. They've already gone for it once on 4th down today.
A little bit of laundry on the field. No one's moving. Can't quite gauge who it's on.
Holding. Offense number 74. Penalties declined. 4th down.
There's no hesitation. They're going for this. Not just because they're throwing everything that they can, but last week they had a PAT block and a field goal block. They do not want to roll out that field goal unit.
2nd, 4th down try of the day for Western Illinois. They're 0 for 1 so far. And the Gophers come up with another big stop. Davenport slings it out. Miscommunication there with the intended target, Aaron Collins. There is a flag down.
Trill Carter got him to the ground.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 1. 15-yard penalty, automatic. 1st down.
As you pointed out there, Trill Carter a little too aggressive here.
And right there, play's over. Stop. Now, it's always tricky when you're up in the face of a guy. He's moving, he's big. You can't always tell when he's released the ball. It's a defensive lineman, Jason. They just dream of sacking a quarterback all day long, but there he's got to be more aware because now you put your defense in a dangerous situation, encroaching on the red zone when you should be off the field.
So that'll prolong this Western Illinois drive. That's invaded Minnesota territory.
Brantley isolated down low.
They look the opposite way. Sori-Marin on the coverage there, along with Justin Wally. Dangerous throw into traffic.
Sori-Marin scooting out there. Braylon Oliver is known as the athletic linebacker.
Showcasing the wheels a little bit.
Yeah, he had a little burst. Now Wally limping a little bit, but he looks to be fine. Wally is not the guy to test. He is your field corner, meaning he's usually seeing the coverage. And the coverage he's facing right now is 6'4", Nassim Brantley. Again, would not be shocked at a fade call here.
Davenport 1 for 3 start through the air, but he had that 38-yard completion. He keeps it this time, showing the wheels. Again, gets out on the edge before Justin Wally straggles him down.
Justin Wally saying, hey, I may be the smallest DB in this unit, but I can tackle as well. A great open field tackle. Tyler Newman needs to rotate down a little quicker. Someone has to be responsible if the quarterback pulls the football. Again, Davenport, Ogala, whoever is back there, it doesn't matter. They can scoop in open space.
Again, feels like 4 down territory for the Leathernecks, trailing 14-0. Minnesota crowd gets into it, and a timeout called by the Leathernecks sideline.
First charge timeout. West Illinois, 30-second timeout.
We'll step away. Another big 3rd down coming up for the Leathernecks when we return. 14-0 start for Minnesota. 83 seconds left in this opening quarter. Another dramatic moment coming up for Western Illinois. 3rd and 4. They might talk things over again here.
Charge timeout, Minnesota. 30-second timeout.
A little bit of a chess match there, Jason.
Well, speaking of the chess match, 3rd and 4 here, 14-0 Minnesota start. You were pointing out to me in warm-ups just the detail of how opponents look at each other. It's really interesting to dissect.
I love getting to a stadium early, and you always watch who is watching the other team warmed up, who feels like they need to prove themselves to the other one. And Western Illinois taking a gander over at Minnesota when they should have been stretching, but if they can get some points on the board here, maybe they can make this a little more competitive. But right now, Minnesota being their own worst enemy. New Mexico State was a mistake-free football game. This is not that. Minnesota's letting them in it.
And a little scrappier this week. Speaking of scrappy, there's Mariano Sori-Marin calling out the signals. Empty backfield for Davenport on 3rd and 4. Davenport pressured by Trill Carter. Loops it up. Incomplete. It was Kyler Bach diving after it there.
Coach Fleck is going crazy wondering where the intentional grounding call is because he threw it to an offensive lineman. That's not an eligible receiver.
Well, the officials come together.
Let's take a peek here. Obviously, some trickery. He flexes by and watch number 72. Of course, he can't go downfield. Davenport's panicking. He's saying, I just got to get rid of it. He just sees a big body in a white jersey.
The quarterback was outside the tackle box, but failed to get the ball beyond the neutral zone extended. Lost it down. 4th down.
The big thing there, loss of down, 4th down with 1:16 to go in the opening quarter. That obviously pushes Western Illinois way back.
And again, they had 2 kicks blocked last week. Watch the left side of this field goal blocking unit. Both blocks came in between that wing and tight end, and that is where Minnesota will likely attack.
Laramie Mason on to attempt the
second charge
field goal here.
Western Illinois, 30-second timeout.
It'll be a timeout for Western Illinois first. Well, still to come, the Hawkeyes clash with Iowa State. Fun matchup there. Spartans host Akron and the Wolverines battle Hawaii in prime time. Plus other great action. It's all coming up on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Go to btn.com/gamefinder for channel locations in your area. All fun games there. See some of the news. J.J. McCarthy getting to start tonight in the Big House. Purdue trying to bounce back after the tight loss to Penn State. And Iowa, again, that offense looking for some resurgence this week in a rivalry game.
You know what? I understand the jokes and the skepticism. Iowa's going to figure it out. All right, now they definitely need to figure it out if they want that Cy-Hawk trophy to remain theirs for, I think they're going on 10-something years if that offense can't perform better. Oh, boy.
Well, Laramie Mason from 47 trying to get Western Illinois on the board. He does. So Mason showcases the leg. 14-3 now. The edge for the Gophers. As Myers Hendrickson in his first year as the head coach sees his guys get on the board. 70 seconds to go in this opening quarter. PJ Fleck. The details that he puts into this program are so fun to watch. Emily Eamon has more on that.
Mental health awareness. Bank Stadium. The players are wearing green ribbons on their helmets, as green is the color of mental health awareness. And Minnesota head coach PJ Fleck said the goal is to bring awareness to what he considers one of the biggest growing issues and concerns in our world, especially for young adults. And star running back Mo Ibrahim opened up in his post-game interview last week about how after he suffered his season-ending injury, his weekly meetings with his sports psychologist helped him get through it. Coach Fleck told me he hopes that well-known players like Ibrahim will continue to inspire those and tell them that it's okay to not be okay.
Such an important priority. And it was, I love what Emily said there. And Brock, we talked with PJ Fleck yesterday. He said it's not okay to not have somewhere to go, to talk, and he really provides that space for his players.
And I love it because he's the star of this football team, and if a running back who's going to be playing on Sundays one day is open about it, I can be open about it too.
Redding brings it out just prior to the 25.
You know, Jason, one of the downsides of pitching a shutout like last week is half of your special teams don't get much work. So Redding here, he is a speedster, but he didn't get many opportunities last week to flash that. A very good return there. Speed, speed, speed is the name of the game, Redding.
Minnesota only punted once themselves a week ago against New Mexico State.
It's the only downside of a shutout. Everything else is great. Everything else is great, but your kick return and your punt don't get many looks.
I'd have to search for the film, and defensively, there are only 33 snaps all day from New Mexico State a week ago. The fewest around the country on the FBS level. Meanwhile, Morgan, 7 of 9 so far, goes to the grounds here with Mo Ibrahim. Already has a touchdown along with Trey Potts.
Bryce Cross there with the tackle. Looks like that inside of his arm looks to be a little banged up. He's going to jog to the sideline. Seems to be in pain. And here's Mo Ibrahim. You look at that left arm, and it's just going to hit right on that knee. That's a tough spot. If it gets you right in that pocket where the elbow hinges, that never feels good.
Cross brings a lot of experience to that Western Illinois secondary, by the way, too. 4th year in a relatively inexperienced group. Ibrahim, a burst up the middle, out to the 40.
And there's no better example of patience to violence. Like I spoke about earlier right there. Look how patient he is at finding his spot. Boom. Once that pocket opens, he is rolling and lowering that shoulder, forcing 2 guys to bring him down.
Gain of 13 on that last run for Ibrahim. Again at 132 on the ground a week ago.
That's the end of the first quarter.
The ground and pound game has been the name of the game so far for the Gophers. End of 1 quarter here in Minneapolis. First it was Mo Ibrahim. Then his good buddy Trey Potts followed up. 14-3 Gophers after 1. A 14-3 start for Minnesota over Western Illinois after 1 quarter of play. Second quarter of action just about to get underway. Tanner Morgan and the Minnesota offense coming back out onto the field. 2 rushing touchdowns in that opening quarter. And a really good balance through the air as well. They go to Mo Ibrahim, who's cut down after a solid first down gain there of 8. A quick T-Mobile studio update with Dave Revson.
Jason, thanks. I want to get you up to date on what's going on in Columbus. Travion Henderson, his first touchdown of the year after scoring 19 a season ago. Buckeyes up 17-6 on Arkansas State.
Thanks, Dave. Buckeyes with the big Week 1 win over the Irish last week. Minnesota pitched a shutout against New Mexico State. Looking to back that up here. Ibrahim again, this time into Western Illinois territory.
Patient, patient, patient. Here's another perfect example of how a running back runs zone to perfection. He's waiting, boom, now he's gone. You have to let it develop. Now let's look at Ariante Ursery, the left tackle, who is just the tone setter, even as a sophomore, getting downfield, getting hands on guys. And Jason, when he gets his hands on you, you go where he wants you to go.
6'6", 325. And protecting Tanner Morgan's blind side, a very important job.
Coach Shiraka said he has the potential to be one of the best to ever come out of this program.
Potts, a burst, had a touchdown in the opening quarter, showcasing the physicality at the end of the run. Western Illinois is saying the ball came out. Remember, Minnesota fumbled on their opening drive. Let's see what the signal is here. At the moment, they're marking it down, which would be a 15-yard game, but the Western Illinois sideline thinks otherwise.
Losing possession, result of play of the first down.
look down there, didn't he?
That's the right call. That's the right call. Potts, again, they just want to get him vertical as quickly as you can. But even if he was down, you better believe Coach Ciarrocca is not happy with that ball ever on the ground, whether it's considered a fumble or not. They got to hold on to that rock a little better.
Get a timeout called here. Minnesota up 14-3, 13:31 to go in the second. You talked about Ariante Ursary and that offensive line group. We'll talk more about that after the break as Minnesota will step aside, up 14-3. The previous play still under review. It might have looked a little sketchier than we initially thought.
We were looking at the knee, but look at when De La Cruz and Limehouse make contact. This ball is going to bobble
After
a little bit.
The ruling that the runner was down prior to losing possession stands. It'll be first down for Minnesota.
Now, that may be shocking, but what the referee had to decide was, is that a loose ball? Because, look, the ball is going to bobble, but both hands still remain on the football. So it's bobbling around, and quite honestly, it's a coin flip between whether the ref is going to say, no, he has possession because both hands are on it, or he doesn't have possession because it's moving. Because, look here, De La Cruz knocks it out. Both hands are technically on it, even though it is moving. Again, it's a fielder's choice. In this instance, Trey Potts gets lucky.
And that's why the call stands. So brings up first down and 10 for Minnesota.
Minnesota might be lulling them to sleep here a little bit. I would love to see a shot in the air now that the run has been the focus for quite a bit.
Officials come together again. Gopher crowd getting a little restless.
Well, they're standing directly in the sun at the student section.
They're maybe waiting for that shot that you talked about.
Western Illinois is not going to switch it up. Single coverage on the outside. You have to throw it if you want to get a big gain.
Only 2 receivers on the field here for Minnesota. On 1st and 10, they do keep it with Ibrahim. He waltzes his way ahead. This offensive line, Ariante Ursary, the left tackle you mentioned. John Michael Schmitz is another guy who we've highlighted throughout the week in a group that is still kind of bonding chemistry-wise. If you're going to have one returner, you're lucky it's your center.
Certainly, he is the leader of that offensive line. He will be playing on Sundays. He would be playing on Sundays right now if he declared last year. They're lucky that he decided to come back and really be the captain.
They go back to Ibrahim again. A little jump cut up near the yards to gain there. Emily has more on that Minnesota offensive line.
Yeah, guys, after the Minnesota offensive line lost 4 of 5 of its starters, offensive coordinator Kirk Ciarrocca turned to center John Michael Schmitz. Ciarrocca told me in the offseason Schmitz realized he needed to amp up his leadership because they have a young group. But he said it also seemed easier for him because the core veteran players left, and it was a natural progression to go into that role.
Eight plays on this drive, all runs behind that offensive line that Emily just talked about, and the maturity of John Michael Schmitz. Another look here at the movement up front.
Look at the helmets just push everything forward out of their way. Tanner Morgan had 2 touchdowns on the ground last week. They were both quarterback sneaks. There's just such a great feeling knowing at any moment we have a guaranteed 3-yard gain from a quarterback sneak, and there's nothing you can do about it.
The size differential is pretty noticeable at the line of scrimmage today, as that push up front has been favoring Minnesota. Typically what you get with an FBS versus FCS matchup. Play clock was winding down. Trey Potts barrels ahead. The 9th different run on the drive. There is a flag down at about the 16.
Holding. Defense number 25. Half the distance to the goal, automatic, first down.
Jason, what I love about this offense is there's no doghouse, really. Now, we're going to look at defensive lineman here. Holding is a rare call that you see there, but Schmitz raises his hand there and lets the referee know. I love how there's no doghouse. Bryce fumbled. I'm sorry, Michael Brown-Stephens fumbled early, but he didn't leave the field. They went back to him not long after that. Trey Potts almost had a fumble, but they don't put him in the doghouse. Hey, sit to the second half. They go right back to him. That's how you build confidence with young men.
The Minnesota O-line averages 6'6", 307. They opt not to run behind it again. Instead, a one-on-one matchup in the end zone. And that is broken up. The coverage from J.J. Ross against Brevin Spanford, who is at 6'7". Had the height there, but credit to the DB.
He's got the height, the length, the strength, the athletic ability, but J.J. Ross is no slouch. 2 pass breakups a week ago, an interception, and honestly could have had 3 interceptions. Look at this coverage. I like the no call there. You're allowed to get physical. If you are going to put your hands on me as a receiver, I get to put my hands on you. You see Brevin Spanford pulling on that jersey. The ref's going to say, I'm going to let you play. It just can't be obvious. I like the no call, and I love that play by Ross.
Play clock winding down again. Potts keeps it. Couple of elusive moves. Did he cross the goal line is the question mark. Came up just short. So Potts will come out here.
Let's see how close he gets here. Inside zone, you know Potts is mostly going to remain in the tackles. That's the right call. It's short. Juan De La Cruz, man, he is showing up. Just enough to keep him out of the end zone. And you go quarterback sneak. You sub Mo Ibrahim in the game. Take your pick. No receivers on the field.
Tried to line up pretty quickly there.
The ruling on the previous play that the runner was short of the goal line is under further video review.
They are going to take another look at that last stretch. Juan De La Cruz at the moment made the touchdown saving tackle, one of the captains on the Western Illinois defense.
What I love about, regardless of which way this goes, again, Trey Potts came out, Ibrahim went in. If this is a touchdown, nobody's going to be happier for Potts than Ibrahim. Like, their relationship is just that way. We're going to look at that left knee, and he's short. Just before he stretches the football. It's a great stretch. Great stretch, but if you watch this knee, sorry, the right knee rather, it's just right before, and they're going to stick with the ruling on the field here, most likely. Potts giving a heck of an effort. De La Cruz giving a heck of an effort. Both guys exerting maximum. It's just short. Great view right here. And again, the form is great. Looking like Michael Jordan stretching out there in Space Jam.
Yeah.
The ruling that the runner was short of the goal line stands. Third down.
So the MJ stretch comes up just a little short.
Potts is saying, now Mo's going to score. Dang it.
No. Might go back and forth each week.
No, I'm totally kidding. That running back room is as close as it gets. They are each other's biggest fans.
No egos in that room.
None whatsoever, and the coaches love them for it.
PJ Fleck talked about how Mo Ibrahim shares his NIL money with the rest of his team. Just an example of how it's about the team and not any individual. Third and goal. There's the QB sneak that he talked about earlier on this drive. This time results in a touchdown. Late flag on the field.
And an unnecessary one as well. That's going to be Chimobi Nokucha.
That'll go against Western Illinois.
Well,
Yes, unnecessarily.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 26. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed.
You're going to see it back there.
Kickoff.
And that right there is something that a new head coach and Myers Hendrickson is going to be giving an earful. It's unnecessary. It is ego. It is nothing else. It's, hey, I can't stop you legally, so I'm just going to do a dirty play and feel better about myself.
Minnesota talks about answering with more points. 21-3 on top of Western Illinois. Excellent start for P.J. Fleck and the Gophers on this Saturday afternoon. The third different rushing touchdown we've seen today. Well, some wondered last week why Tanner Morgan didn't throw the ball a little more, but Brock, P.J. Fleck told us we're going to get the job done in the way that we can get it done best.
And it worked at the end of the day, right? There may be some people who say, well, I would like to see that 6'5" or 5'6". It worked. And if you can run the football 9 consecutive plays in a row, 11 total on a drive, and hit pay dirt, that eats up clock, and that demoralizes a defense. Now that defense is exhausted. I don't care how long this offensive drive is for Western Illinois. That defense will still be tired.
11 a.m. kick today. Students still bringing the energy. Far Armstrong back to return here.
A dangerous return, man.
They don't kick it to him. Well, Thursday, Stream Women's Volleyball in the Big Ten Plus at SCC McGraw in the third-ranked Gophers host number 24 Pepperdine. There's no plus like home. Download the Big Ten Plus app and subscribe today. Gophers doing excellent over at Missouri Pavilion on the volleyball court. Shout out to Emily Eamon, who's been pretty busy this weekend. Called 2 volleyball matches there last night, including a Gophers 4-set win over Oregon. Now she's on the sidelines today. Brock Vereen, Jason Ross Jr. up in the booth. A big hit on the near sideline. A couple of players coming together. Beanie Bishop was involved on the tackle, along with Lindenberg from Minnesota.
Lindenberg shot out of a cannon. They did a direct snap there. They lined up in a regular shotgun position. They snapped it directly to the running back. Quarterback went the other way. Lindenberg tracked him and laid the wood on him.
Davenport still in at quarterback. Chased here by Ja Joyner. Just has to throw it away.
They were going for a shot there. They had man coverage on the back end. And don't get it confused. This is a coverage sack. That right there is plenty of time to make something happen. Man coverage, no help across the board. Every single receiver is covered. Davenport trying to stretch it out, but you can only do so much when Ja Joyner's chasing you.
Western Illinois yet to convert on third down in their own territory here on 3rd and long.
Gophers showing blitz. They could be bluffing or they could be coming. If so, they better watch Davenport.
Gets pressured early. Rolls out, looking at the green grass in front of him. Beanie Bishop came up to make the tackle and got him short of the yard to gain.
What a play by Beanie Bishop. First off, they decide to bring pressure, and the worst possible thing is if you miss. Davenport looking downfield. Beanie Bishop leaves coverage and makes that tackle. That is a tough man to tackle. Beanie Bishop making a great play. Got in quite a little bit. He's in that cornerback rotation. Smith and Wally are the 2 starters, but you're going to see Bishop and Stapp. Bishop doing everything there, showing the coverage and showing the ability to tackle an open field. And he's still on the field.
At their own 30, instead it's a little punt from the QB Davenport, so some deception there, and this will take a Western Illinois roll down inside of the Minnesota 5.
What can't Davenport do?
Timeout on the field.
Well, the Minnesota offense will set up, backed up in their own territory, trying to follow up the previous possession when we come back. The second all-time meeting between Western Illinois and Minnesota met back in the 2013 season. Gophers came out on top 29-12 in that one. Brock, you played in that game.
I did. And this score did not look like this in the second quarter. I promise you that.
Western Illinois led 12-7 late in the third, and then you guys rattled off a series of points, but the locker room conversation wasn't the best that day.
Ears are still ringing from the yelling that was going on.
Bringing up a little PTSD for
yeah,
you
can we please stop talking about it, please?
We can stop.
Thank you.
Right now, it would be positivity heading into the locker room. Minnesota can keep this multi-possession lead up 21-3. Ibrahim's been a big part of that. Finds the edge. Looks up, he might have picked up enough for a first down here, but there is a flag on the field, kind of back in the holding zone potentially.
Quinn Carroll, number 77, the Notre Dame transfer. He was in a tough competition during training camp to win that job, and he earned it. But
offense number 77, half distance to the goal, first down.
But it is going to be holding here. You're going to see that right arm. You got to let go. You got to let go. Quite honestly, when there's that big of a size advantage, if you just lay on the guy, he's not going to be able to make the tackle to grab you there. Now your offense is in a tough situation.
Gophers O-line averaging about 6'6", 307. Western Illinois D-line averages 6'2", 281. You think that matchup should favor Minnesota all day long. They go to the air. Chris Ottman-Bell on a slant. And they may come for the holding call with the first down gain.
God, they run that to perfection. When you can do it right, you can make that linebacker, DB, whoever it is, wrong every single time. How long he holds in there, he said, okay, 17's up, I'm going to throw it right behind him. You will never be right when they can run it that well.
All 3 touchdowns for Minnesota today on the ground. Ibrahim tackled just behind the line of scrimmage there. Look at the big bodies up front. Again, the height and weight comparison. If you're Western Illinois, I guess the mentality there, how intimidating is that as a player?
Well, you're actually thankful that you're playing them this year, because this is one of the smaller offensive lines that Minnesota has had in recent years. But no, you just have to get off the ball faster and lower. That's the only way to win against guys that big.
Minnesota playing their first 3 games here at Huntington Bank Stadium. Colorado next week. Right now taking care of business against Western Illinois. Another slant, another connection with Chris Ottman-Bell.
On standout cornerback J.J. Ross, no less. Ottman-Bell runs that to perfection. Him and Tanner Morgan have that timing down so well. Tanner, he's going to hang in there, pop out, and release that football. That's the key to the RPO. You have to get out of that play fake, pull that ball back, and fire it so quickly before that window closes. They do it to perfection. Both in their 6th years on campus, so the chemistry is uncanny there. Fresh set of downs. Trey Potts gets up near the yard to gain. They'll move the chains once again. Moving it pretty efficiently now, too. And again, just because Potts gets most of his carries between the tackles doesn't make him not a home run hitter. He is the home run hitter of that running back group. He is the one more looking for open space, because once he gets there, he has the speed, he has the size, one of the nastiest spin moves you will ever find.
Minnesota had 31 total first downs a week ago against New Mexico State. To New Mexico State 6. And this offense moving and grooving again here. It's Morgan, a deep shot, looking for Ottman-Bell. Has him. Bell working his way inside of the 5.
We're talking about that 6-year connection. They got some hive mind going on right now. He knows exactly where he's going to be. Same play fake, but this is not an RPO. This is a full drop, and he knows his guy is in single coverage, and you're going to take Chris Ottman-Bell every single time. He gets a step on Ross, and now they are wasting no time. They're lined up ready to roll.
In business now. 54-yard gain on that last play. Potts stretches his 2nd touchdown of the opening half.
Could not be happier for Trey Potts. Could not be happier for this running back room. Way to cap off an incredible 96-yard drive in 6 plays.
A swift 96-yard drive. 28-3. The Gopher lead. 54 yards from Tanner Morgan to Chris Ottman-Bell. That was the initiator. And then Potts capped it off. A 28-3 lead for Minnesota after that last 7-play, 96-yard drive. Time for our Liberty Mutual Big Stat. Tanner Morgan, top 3 in all of these very important categories in Minnesota.
From next season onward, whatever happens with Tanner Morgan, there is no questioning his presence in this program. There's nobody that's going to come along and break all those records. Jason, I'll tell you that much. There may be a quarterback 20 years from now that gets 1 or 2 of them. Nobody is erasing Tanner Morgan from the history books, and this city loves him.
Yep, winningest QB in program history. He's got 7 completions of 15 yards or more, by the way, today. And they had the drive with 11 plays. Here's Emily with more on the sideline.
Well, that last touchdown started from an explosive play from wide receiver Chris Ottman-Bell, and that was the #1 thing that offensive coordinator Kirk Ciarrocca told me that he wanted to see from his wide receivers this group. He wanted to see explosiveness. He told me his wide receivers have been playing faster and more reactionary in practice, but he wanted to see that improve from week 1.
Thanks, Emily.
Explosive plays are the key, and while everyone was happy with the performance last week, they wanted explosive plays. That's plays of 12 yards or more. Plenty this afternoon.
Jalen Jackson makes the catch here. Brought down on the sideline. Yeah, they got plays of 35 and 54 yards today, by the way, for the Minnesota offense.
And playing keep away, playing the time of possession game, that is fine, but you do need to have the ability to strike big in a 2-minute situation, in a 20 seconds left situation, and that's what people were yearning for, and it's great to see it.
They worked on situational things in practice yesterday. We watched that. Here's Aaron Collins brought down. Making the tackle is Cody Lindenberg, who's looked really good today at linebacker.
Cody Lindenberg has been all over the place, proving himself to be a sideline-to-sideline linebacker. Didn't see him last week. Mexico State's a more spread offense. It was much more nickel. Now we're getting a true 3-linebacker set, and Lindenberg is happy. They say, I like playing teams like this. I get to be on the field way more.
So Henry Ogala started the game at QB for Western Illinois. Nick Davenport has played the last several possessions. Still without a 3rd down conversion. Can they find one here? Davenport pressure, dumps it off. Collins hit.
Who else?
Right at the bottom of the pile, it's Lindenberg again.
He is flying all over the place. I love it, but you know what? It's because he has fresh legs. Again, last week was many DBs on the field. Let's watch Lindenberg here. He's going to drop in his zone. He's going to see Collins turn around, fight through one blocker, lower that helmet, and make sure he does not gain another yard. Just like that, fist goes in the air, 4th down.
Thomas Rush brought some nice pressure on the edge there, too.
Great athlete.
Yeah.
And Thomas Rush can rush. Got sacked last week, can drop in coverage. He can do it all.
Kind of disoriented Davenport there. Now a punt. And Redding will make the fair catch back at the 30. That offensive line has led the way up front today for Minnesota. Ariante Ursary.
Ariante Ursary, Gopher fans, remember this name. Just look how he dominates as such a physical presence. He is so young, but one thing you do not have to teach him is how to be physical. Here he is, pass blocking. I mean, just a stonewall. You are not getting past him. Here he is today, leading up to the 2nd level, driving number 17 back 10 yards into the referee. And of course, you're going to follow behind him. Coach Ciarrocca said the only thing he has to do is get a lower pad level. That is it. If not, Sundays are the future for Mr. Ursary.
A lot of potential there. Very high ceiling in the words of PJ Fleck. So now back comes this Minnesota offense that's all of a sudden a quick strike offense. They got on the sideline. Another quick strike. This time inside of the 35. Lamecki Brockington.
The patience that Tanner Morgan has here is fun to watch. He had Ottman-Bell streaking across the field, but he trusted his O-line. He knew he had time. This is going to take a while to develop. They're going to fake the screen to Michael Brown-Stevens. Brockington is going to get a step and to just drop that ball in a bucket with a safety coming over. And who else but Ariante Ursary playing pinball with Brevin Spanford with the defensive end.
36 yards. That last pitch and catch. Now Ibrahim sheds a tackler again there. Just so tough to bring down in the initial contact.
You can't bring him down on initial contact. That's the problem. He is too low to the ground. He is too powerful. And number 51, we hope he's okay. That's who Mo collided with. And just the perfect balance of speed, of strength. Look at him, nothing there. He's going to bounce it outside. You would think that Mo would be the one slow to get up after that.
Back to Ibrahim again. That initial tackler couldn't bring him down. That was Chase Graham, by the way, on the Western Illinois defense. A key piece on the line for them that heads over to the sideline. Don't want to see that on the Leatherneck side. Meanwhile, Ibrahim and the Minnesota offense breaches the red zone again. Scored 38 last week, already 10 shy of that. Still some time left in this opening half. Ibrahim, initial bursts brought down.
And that's a good gain here. Your favorite thing in the red zone is favorable sticks. 3rd and 3, and you've established the run. In these past 2 drives, you've established the pass. You keep a defensive coordinator guessing. He doesn't know what package to put on the field.
And they've been so well balanced, and Morgan has been so incredibly efficient. 11 of 14 through the air. This is a 3rd down. Morgan to Ottman Bell, broken up nicely by J.J. Ross. Well, coming up, stick around for the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups halftime report. Guys in the studio, we'll have you covered there. Talking the Ohio State game, along with our first half here in Minneapolis.
Those 3 guys looking dapper, if you ask me.
Dapper. You did a nice job last week, by the way, watching this Minnesota game in the studio.
Thank you, sir. Very appreciated. It's much more fun to watch it here. I'll let you know that.
Well, the field goal is good, so Minnesota surpasses the 30 mark in the opening half. 31-3 start for Minnesota. Shade over 60 seconds left in the opening half. Minnesota fans loving the start here against Western Illinois. And they'll play Colorado here next week before heading to East Lansing for what should be a big showdown with the Spartans. Michigan State playing Akron on Big Ten Network today. Just a reminder here, coming up, stick around for the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups halftime report. We'll dissect the first half here and the Ohio State game as well, going on right now on Big Ten Network.
Dapper gentleman right there. Look at that smile.
It's a pretty picture.
Look at those teeth from Dave. Jerry looking like he's in pain, but still a handsome smile.
You were kind of standing in between the guys last night, weren't you? That discussion about the Minnesota passing and whatnot. I was afraid for you watching on my TV. Is Brock okay?
They're going to row the boat whether they like it or not.
By the way, Henry Ogala back in at QB now for Western Illinois.
He has the stronger arm, so for the 2-minute drill, or 1-minute drill in this case, it makes sense.
On the sideline, he finds Jafar Armstrong, who picks up some yards after the catch. Brought down by Ryan Stapp.
Michael Dixon, the nickel, has to get a little more wind there. You got to respect Jafar much more than that.
If you're Minnesota, do you drop back in coverage a bit here?
They love sitting in a soft cover, too. I'm quite shocked they didn't open up with that.
Lindenberg just nearly missed on the sack. It did, at the end of the day, force Ogala to throw it out of bounds, but Lindenberg, again, showcasing his skill set.
He's all over the place, man. I love this dude. Look at him coming right through there. And if Ogala wasn't such an athlete and so strong, he probably would have got him to the ground. Again, you cannot treat either quarterback like a quarterback. Treat him like a running back. It's going to take full effort to get them to the ground.
Western Illinois working quickly. Ogala into one-on-one. Out of the reach of the intended target there. That's Nassim Brantley, their leading wideout from a week ago, who hasn't had much success today.
Fade after fade after fade. There they tried Justin Wally. Again, Terrell Smith, who's opposite Wally, is 6'1", 6'2", so if you're going to throw up a fade, often you're going to go to Wally, but you'd be mistaken. He's the best cover guy amongst that DB group. Started a couple games as a true freshman about half the season a year ago.
False start. Offense number 82, 5-yard penalty. They're down.
They got the wide out there, Jalen Jackson. Sometimes with a young team, when you're trying to move quickly, you sacrifice execution a little bit.
You're just so excited, and I feel for him. He just wants to get out there and run around. He probably has a deep route coming up. He wants to show off that speed, but a little too eager. Nassim Brantley has been moved away from Wally, now over Beanie Bishop, who's had himself a heck of a game.
Ogala hands it off late to Ludovic, who we haven't seen a lot of today. He's brought down in the open field. Seen Western Illinois go for it on 4th down multiple times today, including once in their own territory.
Whether they run a play or not, nothing's happening until that clock gets to 1 second. If they do run a play, they're going to want this to be the last one.
4th and 8, clock dwindling down. Ogala, his pass incomplete. Into traffic there, looking for Jafar Armstrong. Time will expire on half number 1 with Minnesota up a commanding 31-3 lead. They wanted better execution of the game plan this week. How do you feel about that execution so far?
Early, ugly, it got better after. Right now, they're not taking this team lightly. I promise you, there's no Coach Fleck team who's going to overlook any opponent. But early on, it was just sloppy. It was the fundamentals. It was unnecessary holding penalties. It was not being responsible with the football. But they found their bearings, and now they're attacking on the ground and through the air.
It's been well balanced so far. Tanner Morgan over 100 yards, and the run game has been well balanced between these two guys.
I mean, pick your poison, right? Trey Potts a little faster, Mo Ibrahim a little more patient. Both of them impossible to take down. Trey Potts 8.6 average, 2 touchdowns. Scary.
Those two have blended well for several years together, experienced in that backfield. Minnesota has commanded the opening half of action. Emily Eman is down with the head coach, PJ Fleck.
Coach, 223 passing yards for Tanner Morgan to start the half. What's impressed you most with his performance?
Well, he's poised in the pocket. We're taking what the defense allows us to get. I mean, they're putting a lot of people down in that box. Kind of reminds me how South Dakota State played us back in 2019. So I'm sure they went back in the film room to look at that. But a lot of people down in the box. We got to take care of the football on offense. Too many balls on the ground.
What different adjustments are you going to make to take care of the ball better?
Well, we just got to let them know to take care of the ball better. It's simple. The ball's a program in our program, and we just got to be better at it.
Coach, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, PJ. Halftime here in Minneapolis with our score 31-3 in favor of the Gophers. Coming up, it's the Reese's Peanut Butter Halftime Report with Dave Revson, Jerry DiNardo, and Howard Griffith. Football on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense. And by Velveeta. Also by Discover, the official credit card of the Big Ten Conference. Welcoming you back to Minneapolis. Got a fun crew on hand today and a fun start for the Golden Gophers, up 31-3. Welcoming you inside of the booth alongside Brock Vereen. I'm Jason Ross Jr. Emily Eman with us as well. Brock, a 38-0 victory in week 1 for Minnesota. This week, kind of a different form of dominance.
It certainly is. Of course, last week was the ground and pound keep away game. They're doing that this afternoon, but they are adding on some explosive plays, which is what everyone was looking for, and they're doing it to perfection.
It's been really fun to watch, and they've really executed throughout, which is what the coaching staff wanted. Despite winning 38-0 last week, it was execution that was the big word, specifically from the defensive coordinator, Joe Rossi. They've held Western Illinois under 100 yards so far. Minnesota offense has been so well balanced. Dragan Kesic will kick off to begin the second half for the Golden Gophers. Seen multiple quarterbacks used by Western Illinois, which is something we expected. Well, there's Cody Lindenberg, who's pieced together his own personal highlight reel today.
The do-it-all man. He doesn't just run down on kickoff. Look at him tracking guys all the way to the sideline. He has been all over the place. In front of the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, saving third downs, making sure they go to fourth. He has been incredible. Again, he has fresh legs. Last week, New Mexico State, a lot of 10 and 11 personnel, which means a lot of receivers. It was more nickel packages. Lindenberg is getting out there fresh. He is flying around. No one's having more fun than Lindenberg right now.
Nearly had another sack to add onto that total, too. Ogala over the middle, out of the reach of his intended target there. By the way, if you're Cody Lindenberg, and you go back to your Minnesota days, when you walk into the film room this upcoming week, you holding your head a little higher? Like, what's the confidence level?
Oh,
no,
you are the
film
first
good.
one in the room, whereas in 2013, when we played Western Illinois, I was the last one in the film room and the first one out. There was not much that I was there to celebrate, but Lindenberg will be in there. I promise you that.
He has been flying all over the place. The incompletion on first down. He's up second down for Ogala. A quick strike to Jay Parker. Emily Eman on the sideline, cut up with Myers Hendrickson.
Hendrickson told me his message to his team was simple, to play hard. He said, we're leathernecks and we know how to play. He saw some positives from that first half, including taking the ball away on defense, which was a key for them. He loved how they finished, but the biggest adjustment is they have to take away more balls.
Thanks, Em. Well, his group has faced a lot of third downs today and still yet to convert one. 0 for 7. Ogala looking to one-on-one. Ryan Stapp on the coverage there. Easy work against Jalen Jackson that time.
Inside fade is a tough cover, but Ryan Stapp gets the job done there. Joe Rossi makes it simple. When you can trust your defensive backs in single coverage, regardless of the down, regardless of where you're at on the field, it just unlocks so much. So despite these speedy receivers, despite the arm strength of Henry Ogala, you can still pack a punch there in your front seven while also knowing business is taken care of deep.
Ryan Stapp, one of those transfers from Albion Christian. Really able to reload at DB as this will take a Western Illinois roll. So now this Minnesota offense set to come out. Really got it done through the air in the first half and getting it done in the air to who else?
The 6-year man, acting like a 6-year man, him and Tanner Morgan. They showed up here at the same time, but they may have never been more in sync than this afternoon. You wanted big plays downfield, find number 7 and get him the ball. You can get it to him quick, you can get it to him deep, but he's going to bring it in.
So 5 catches, 118 yards. Not too shabby there. And Chris Ottman-Bell, now 40 straight games for Ottman-Bell with at least 1 catch.
J.J. Ross, the standout corner who's been covering and quite honestly following Ottman-Bell, is not out there right now. Jalen McKee is over him now.
That's at the bottom of your screen, that matchup. Instead, it's a run, and a big one at that. Up the middle that time goes Mo Ibrahim. The drives throughout this game. Ibrahim, the central figure in all of them.
He's incredible. I mean, well, first off, that fumble wasn't him, but the rest of those drives, he had a whole lot to do with them. I wish I was better at math and I could add up that time of possession, but when you can run the football consistently, you just alleviate so much off of your defense's shoulders.
Last week, time of possession for Minnesota, 44 minutes and 30 seconds, which was the most of any team in the FBS. They've done it again this week, and they've done it on the ground again this week with Mo Ibrahim, who celebrated his 24th birthday, by the way, yesterday. Perfect for the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And how did he spend it? He went to a children's hospice with 9 other teammates, just showcasing the job he's done not only on the field, but off the field.
He's an incredible person. As awesome as he is on Saturdays, as great as he will be on Sundays one day, he will always be a better man and a guy that anyone near him will happily follow.
Like we talked about earlier, there's no egos in that running back
None.
room or at any position in this Minnesota team. Morgan was so efficient in the opening half, finds Brevin Spanford barreling his way ahead at 6'7", 270 for a first down.
Here is Ibrahim, and he makes a guy miss, then he makes you force him out of bounds because you're not going to get him to the ground, and that's going to give him over 100 yards. So unfortunately, Jason, we're not going to see much more of him. The streak continues. They're probably going to punch it in here, and that may be it for him, Morgan, and possibly Autman-Bell.
Back-to-back weeks with 100 yards and not playing the entire
That feels
game.
good.
Feels pretty good.
There he goes.
Oh, he spun out of traffic. Ibrahim keeping the run alive inside of the 5.
They used to say that the play is over when the whistle blows. The play is over when Mo Ibrahim decides that he's done running through you. Let's look at the run here. Outside zone, you know what it is. He finds a window, lowers his shoulder, but they do not get him to the ground. And even still, it's going to take 2 more guys to get him to the ground. He does not give up.
Now they're going to line up with 1st and goal here. Scored 38 last week. Can match that again on this drive. Back to Ibrahim, and he's brought down by Jake DeDeVito, and that's a touchdown saving tackle just prior to the goal line.
It certainly is, and now they're going to bring on somewhat of a jumbo package. You take out Autman-Bell and your speedy guys like Mike Brown-Stephens. You bring on some bigger tight ends, some bigger receivers who aren't afraid to block for you. And whether this is quarterback sneak, Mo punching it in, if you are in shotgun on the 1-yard line, you trust your offensive line.
The 5th rushing touchdown of the day for Minnesota. 2nd for Mo Ibrahim.
What a day. What a career that honestly still has so much ahead of it for Mo Ibrahim. I just mentioned career because he is creeping up on that record. Really the only record remaining for him is that rushing touchdown record. He is incredible and impossible not to root for him.
.38 on the board for the Golden Gophers.
And look at him. He has the burst. He has the physicality. He can go around you. He can go through you. And you better make sure you get him on the ground because the play isn't over until he says it is.
.38-3 commanding lead for the Golden Gophers at home. Time for today's Built for Success, brought to you by Rocket Mortgage. You see the succession here under PJ Fleck and the improvement each and every year, and the bowl game success as well.
It's incredible the impact he has had. Look at it slowly trickling up as you go along. That 2020 year was a step in the wrong direction. That was tough for every team. The fact of the matter is he is one of 2 coaches in Minnesota history to have multiple 9-win seasons, and right now they're working on number 3.
Last season, 2021, could have easily been an 11-win campaign. You had 3 of those 4 losses by 8 points or less, so it could have gone either way.
There are definitely games last year that they would want back.
Emily Eamon has more on the program that PJ Fleck has built.
Guys, you mentioned how he's building up this program, and one way he's doing that is being intentional with every detail of the way that he runs it, from the candle scents in each room at the facility to the music played during workouts. They play music on the speakers and it rotates for each part of practice. So during stretching or warm-ups, they play 90s hip-hop and R&B as they're getting ready to ramp up. Individual training, it's classical music because research says that promotes learning. And for the chaos that is special teams, they play EDM to try to mimic that energy.
That is fantastic. Thanks, Emily. Just multiple cases in the detail that this program brings. Zogala, a deep shot downfield for Jafar Armstrong, and nearly intercepted. It was picked off. Jordan Howden. Wow.
Oh my God, go and get it, big dog. That is incredible. Jordan Howden came in as a walk-on cornerback. Don't be confused. He may be listed as a free safety. He never lost those cornerback skills. Incredible play by the free safety.
One of the vets in the secondary makes a big play.
Timeout on the field.
Look at Jordan Howden there after the spectacular pick. Talk about an athlete.
Spectacular pick. Jafar Armstrong was technically a step behind him, and what's so funny is after those plays, you come to the sideline, you got an interception, you put the headset on, and your coach is just yelling at you, how did he get behind you? Why is he behind you? We went over that 12 times in practice. I told you it was going to come at the top of the half. How does that happen? Make sure it doesn't happen again. And you just say, yeah, coach, I'll work on that. You're welcome for the interception.
More PTSD for you today.
Obviously, I'm over it.
Are you?
What an incredible play. I'm telling you, man, this defensive back unit is the best in the Big Ten. I understand Penn State will have something to say about that, and they'll get to duke it out here come October, I believe.
Jordan Howden, Tyler Newman. How about the new additions as well? Beanie Bishop has been excellent today.
Depth, man. They got depth.
Ryan Stapp. Now the offense is back out. More slants. Working at the tight end. Brevin Spanford.
Patience there by Tanner Morgan. His first read wasn't there. His second read wasn't there. His third read wasn't there. He went back to his first read because now it was open. You can only do that with a stout offensive line. And Brevin Spanford is a guy who Coach Soraka is so excited about. If they can unlock him, they can unlock another gear to this offense.
Emily and I were marveling yesterday at just how tall he is. He towers over
massive
everyone.
Human being. And was a point guard, is that right?
6'7" point guard in high school. Still the all-time leader in assists at his high school. So some Magic Johnson vibes there, maybe.
He's better than me. I'm never passing the rock if I'm that big.
Up the middle goes Trey Potts. A first down gain for the Gophers.
I love the balance of this running back room. Outside the tackles, that's where Mo Ibrahim is going to start, and he's going to plant that foot and get back inside. Trey Potts is the opposite. They're going to start him inside, and if the opportunity is there, he's going to bounce out. Now, there, of course, there was nothing but green grass, so he's stuck with it. But I love an offensive coordinator who understands his running back skill sets.
Coach Soraka has a wealth of assets to work with throughout the season. Morgan rolls. Morgan fires an open Brevin Spanford down the sideline and into the end zone.
Big man finding the big old end zone. Brevin Spanford, 6'7", 270 pounds, what, 2% body fat, maybe? This is a long developing play, though, so again, credit to that offensive line. Tanner Morgan had to sit back there about 4 or 5 seconds, so these past two pass plays have honestly come down to the offensive line, but you need your guys to bring it in as well.
All it took was 90 seconds. 45-3 the Minnesota lead. Brevin Spanford led all Minnesota tight ends in receiving yards a season ago. Here he is with a touchdown catch. Look at Tanner Morgan in the offense having some fun there. Brevin Spanford, Morgan averaging 20.5 yards per completion right now.
It's incredible how explosive this offense is. It's just a sight to see. And happy for Spanford. Like when a 6'7" freshman shows up on your campus, everyone's excited. It took him a little while to develop, and every offseason was, is this the year Spanford puts it together? Is this the year? But we talked to Coach Soraka, who was here when Brevin arrived, and now has returned to see Brevin as a 5-year senior, and he is more excited for him than anyone. 6'7", all the athleticism in the world. He said he's always had the ball skills, but now that I'm back, I see he's learned to understand coverages. And he was wide open there, Jason. He knew what coverage that was.
Western Illinois opts to return this kick. Haven't seen much of that today. Jay Parker brought down by Jordan Howden, who has an interception, and a very athletic one that he'll be looking back on after this game today.
Oh, he certainly will. The beauty of 11 a.m. kickoffs is if you have a good game, you got the rest of the day to walk around campus and, oh, this
Head held very high.
This backpack, yeah, it says 23. Oh, yeah, sorry. That's me. Yeah, that's me. Incredible. I can talk about these safeties all day long. Him, Michael Dixon, the nickel, Tyler Newman, of course, Terrell Smith and Justin Wally. I'm a little biased. I'm a DB, but they're special.
Why did you say earlier this week that you really, as a DB yourself, love the role the DBs play in this defense?
It's incredible. On paper, this Joe Rossi defense is not complicated. It is the intricacies of it are, but big picture, it allows DBs to play. The last thing you want as a defensive back is to say, what's my sign? Okay, well, if that guy motions over there, I gotta do this. Okay, if he comes back, I gotta do this. Now, there is that level to it, but at the end of the day, he just wants his guys to play. And the best thing about it, Jason, is when you trust your guys out there, it doesn't have to be complicated because you have the better athletes.
They bring some pressure on the edge this time with those athletes. Quick completion, but look who it is again. Your guy, Jordan Howden.
Of course it is.
Well, Brock, you're not just any DB. You're a very prominent figure around these parts.
Oh, you guys got some trickery going on, huh?
Trickery. Looking good.
I refused to tuck in my shirt, and it drove my family crazy. I wouldn't do it. I would not tuck it in. I refused to. It was my lucky shirt. I practiced with it. I played with it. It's the only one I wore. I watched it, though, Jason. I promise I watched it.
It's so funny. We had that style conversation with Emily at practice yesterday. Just how things change over the years with the fits and what's in nowadays with the kids.
It's funny how it works, even in only 10 years.
Flag went flying pretty quickly there prior to the third down snap.
False start. Offense number 74. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Well, there we are.
Well, how about that?
Oh, good-looking gentlemen.
I appreciate the maroon. I appreciate the maroon. See, I'm too obvious. I can't be out here rowing the boat in maroon and gold, but I thank you for picking up where I couldn't.
It's almost fall, so I had to bring out the fall maroon colors. You can think of this in multiple ways here.
Labor Day passes, the maroon comes out, baby.
Mm-hmm. So now it is third and long with the play clock dwindling for Western Illinois. Ogala, quick strike over the middle. Able to hook up with Jafar Armstrong. Took a hit to make the play.
He certainly did. He stuck in there. He's tough to let that thing go. Jafar Armstrong, a great route. They knew the middle of the field was going to be open. He had to beat his man. He beats Howden inside, and Jafar's going to line up all over. Slot, wide out, running back last week on a double pass. He can do it all.
You have to remember Western Illinois is kind of still sorting out their identity, both offensively and defensively, with a new coaching staff. They've used two different quarterbacks today. Ogala in for the second time now.
Even their leading running back. I mean, they want to be a pound the rock, physical, between the trenches football team, but even their leading running back, Ludovic Choquette, he had more receiving yards than receptions a year ago, so you really have to unlearn some stuff to learn a new system, but they're in good hands. He is passionate about that program.
Yep. Difficult as a new coach to inherit the personnel that trying to match the style that you want to bring. Speaking of Ludovic Choquette, he is dragged down by Ja Joyner. Myers Hendrickson, again the first-year coach, will head down to the sidelines for Emma Lehman.
As you mentioned, Western Illinois head coach Myers Hendrickson has had success in his previous years, 30-4 as the head coach of Kansas Wesleyan. He was a receiver back at Western Illinois from 09 to 11, and he says that being an alum gives him a special bond with his players, and he mentioned sweat equity, putting blood, sweat, and tears into a place. It never leaves you, so having the chance to lead that is huge.
Next, Emily, Terrell Smith. More athleticism on display. There's a wealth of it for the Minnesota defense. Made the tackle there to force fourth down.
You mentioned having your guys, and that's why the golden number, whenever a new head coach is hired, you say year 3. because your first year, you can get some of your guys in, but you want to run a certain system, and a lot of guys may not fit it. If you want to pound the rock and you inherit a program that throws the ball, it's going to take some time to get your guys in there. If you want to run man across the board, it may take a year or two to get a big, fast corner who can man up versus a zone corner. It takes time, but again, this program could not be in better hands.
Yep. We talked to the Minnesota staff yesterday, and they were talking about the time they take out each week for recruiting. That's something you kind of goes under the radar in season 2. Just the responsibilities of these coaching staffs year-round. Right now, Minnesota is handling their responsibilities well. A 45-3 lead at home in week 2. For the biggest Big Ten experience, there's no plus like home. The Big Ten Plus app powered by Big Ten Network. Download and subscribe now. Get multiple screens going on a day like this.
Never too much.
Well, you have a new QB in now if you're Minnesota, Ethan Kaliakmanis, a redshirt freshman who was really impressive in the spring. One pass last week against New Mexico State.
Quarterback of the future here at Minnesota, Tanner Morgan in his 6th year. He'll be moving on, and Ethan will be first in line to pick up where he left off.
Trey Potts takes the handoff. There's a flag down behind the play. Kaliakmanis, an Illinois native.
Some are referring to him as the Greek Gopher. By some, I mean our producer.
Offense number 76, 10-yard penalty, first down.
See how long that nickname lives on.
I'm gonna push it. I'm all in.
We can push it right now.
I am all in on Kaliakmanis, the Greek Gopher, baby.
Thanks to our producer KD.
Great size.
Yes.
6'4", 210.
Goes over the middle and has a reception out near midfield. Minnesota goes deeper into the depth chart. Carson Clark with the catch.
Pick up right where he left off. A little RPO of his own, giving the students something to look forward to for the future, saying, hey, that play that Tanner Morgan runs to perfection to Chris Ottman-Bell, well, they're both 6-year guys. Let me give you a taste of what's coming in 2023.
I beg your pardon, Blake Geary, the last reception there. Kaliakmanis' brother Dino is on the roster as well. He's a wideout.
Similar to his brother, good size on him as well. 6'2", 200. A typical, in Ethan this is, a typical PJ Fleck quarterback. You're not looking for a guy who's going to go out there and run the triple option, but he likes athletic guys. Guys who, if they need to, can make something happen with their feet, even though they're not looking to.
Kaliakmanis looking to make it happen with his arm. Second connection with Geary on this drive. Blake Geary missed last season with an injury. His 7th year in a college career that began in 2016.
And this is a tough throw. They were on the right hash, and look where he caught that football. Dang near on the numbers. That is a tough thing. When you talk about arm strength, you talk about putting zip on the football. That is the hardest throw to make from one hash all the way to the numbers, but he puts it right on Clay's numbers.
Potts again. Swallowed up in the teeth of that Western Illinois defensive line. But again, good balance even with a bit of a new regime here QB. You're still seeing the same mentality.
And that's what you want to see, right? Yes, of course, Ethan is not going to get the same amount of reps as Tanner's going to get. But do I have to change my play call? Do I have to wide out half of this sheet when the young guy gets in there? No, this is the same offense that we'd be seeing, and that's got to get you excited.
We saw in practice yesterday, they rotate in and out pretty quickly, and everyone is moving. There's no one sitting still. Kaliakmanis over the middle, stretching out into the end zone is Dalen Wright.
They may need to take a second look at this one.
Did that come up just short?
It looked like the ball was bobbling a little bit, and he may or may not have been in the end zone. But once again, I love how much zip he puts on this football. Okay, no, he secured the football. Football was secured. He was just stretching out. He's like, wait, a college touchdown for me? They're going to have to wait one, unless they go with the QB sneak here and show him some love.
They do just that. Ethan Kaliakmanis plunging his way into the end zone.
And you know what you're going to see? The first person who's going to congratulate him on the sideline is going to be who? I promise you. Just wait for it. Where is he?
The suspense is building.
Of course, because that's the kind of guy that Tanner Morgan is. That's the kind of culture that PJ Fleck insists on having in this program. There is no ego in any jersey in that locker room.
Past the half-century mark now, 52-3. The lead on an explosive day for this Minnesota offense. You predicted it, a little sneak. And the redshirt freshman QB, Kaliakmanis, joining the party. His starter loves it. Shade under 90 seconds to go in the third quarter. New QB, same story for Minnesota. Finding the end zone once again. Now Dragan Kesic will kick it off. Jay Parker watches that sail out of the end zone. 6 plays, 67 yards that last drive. A little over 3 minutes. PJ Fleck there. Brock, you and I went to the mall last night, walked past White Barn. Told you I can never, ever look at a White Barn again without thinking of PJ Fleck because of Emily's report earlier about how every room in their facilities has a certain scent to make you feel a certain way. We felt a certain way when we walked in yesterday.
Nothing is out of place. Nothing. Not a single thing. Not a paper, not a pencil, not a trash can. Everything is exactly where it should be, and they want the experience to be the same for everyone.
Was an autumn-scented candle from White Barn just outside of PJ's office yesterday.
Mall of America is close to the airport. I may have to scoop one before I hop on the plane later tonight.
Dipping inside of the final minute now of this third quarter. Second all-time meeting between Minnesota and Western Illinois. Met back in 2013. Brock played in that matchup. It was a 29-12 victory for the Gophers. Bit more of a statement today. Gallo rolling. He will use his legs to pick up enough for a first down.
He's an athlete, and when a play breaks down, the scariest thing that you want as a defensive coordinator, as a defender out there on the field is, oh, now I got another guy to worry about. The guy holding the football who's decided not to throw it but take off for a first down.
This Minnesota defense off to an excellent start this season. They force Ogalla to throw it away, and flags go flying.
They may be taking a look at Darnell Jeffries. He was around the quarterback, and
the second forward pass was an illegal forward pass on the offensive number 7. 5-yard penalty from the spot of the pass. Loss of down. Second down.
let's take a look. Oh, I see. There you go. That's what happens when you get your hands up in the air. Danny Strigo had himself a sack last week, a TFL, 3 tackles, and now I don't know if they keep track of caused double passes, but maybe they should start keeping track of that.
That's a interesting new stat. Yeah, Strigo, by the way, haven't touched on him much. Had a really good film session himself probably this past week.
Oh, yeah.
Was all over the place against New Mexico State. Strigo comes from a wrestling background. Ogalla out of a clean pocket. That is streaking wide out. It's Jalen Jackson, couldn't hook up.
Jalen on Jalen crime there. Jalen Glaze with the coverage. He got beat by a step. Jackson is speedy. Jackson is a speedy guy. And again, you're going to trust your guys in man. That's the risk that you take. That's an easy throw from one hash to another, so you can't give up that inside leverage.
Maybe the final play of the quarter. Ludovic dragged down. Ball came out towards the tail end. Right now, they're ruling him down. Nonetheless, a statement today for this Minnesota defense. Back-to-back, very clean performances. 1 quarter to go in Minneapolis.
Everyone turned around and started to wave at the Children's Hospital.
They didn't just wave a little. They waved and waved. Here's Big Ten football. It's a big deal. The wave was about something other than football.
We'll see how one of college football's most iconic traditions was born. The big moment, the first wave, Monday at 7 Eastern on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. The traditions that we know and love are back in full swing. That's one of the best at Iowa.
What's so impressive about it is it's such a new tradition. And even people here in this crowd at Minnesota who will break out in a "We Hate Iowa" chant versus an opponent that's not Iowa at a moment's notice, even they can admit how special that is.
Well, let's get to Dave Revson for a T-Mobile Studio update.
Jason, after falling behind 21-0, Northwestern trying to rally against Duke on a 4th down. Evan Hull goes the distance for the touchdown. That cut it to 5, but Duke has just scored back up by 12.
Thanks, Dave. Non-conference action there. Emily's Wildcats in a tight battle.
Can never quite put a finger on those Wildcats. They will always keep you guessing.
Well, we got another QB change for Minnesota. Cole Kramer, third quarterback we've seen today, hands it off. What else is new? A big chunk of yardage on the ground. Bryce Williams there. Well, Kramer saw some action last week against New Mexico State. You mentioned to me that it could be the QB competition next year between Kramer and Callie McManus, looking very far ahead there.
Certainly. Kramer has had more snaps under center. He's their Wildcat quarterback, so he's seen action for a couple years here now. But Callie McManus, probably the more accurate, probably the bigger arm, but both of those two will be fighting it out come spring ball.
Kramer also kind of a rushing threat that could give defenses a different look this season in short yardage scenarios.
And the comfort you have in knowing, hey, if this is a Callie McManus show with Kramer still filling in, coming in for some Wildcat situations, so be it. Coach Fleck has never shied away from getting whoever needs to be on the field if they can make a play.
Kramer out of a clean pocket this time, out of the reach of Lemeki Brockington. By the way, Kramer was the number 3 ranked recruit in Minnesota coming out of high school. Eden Prairie kid. He's got the Minnesota roots.
Oh, yeah. And anybody coming out of Eden Prairie means business. That is a local powerhouse. I know that because anybody who played at there, whoever came from there that was a teammate of mine would not stop talking about Eden Prairie. My God.
First, 3rd and long situation for Kramer. Worked on a lot of different scenarios in practice yesterday. We'll see how he handles this. Handles it pretty well. Finds Clay Geary. Open target and a first down for Minnesota.
I love that this playbook is still remaining wide open. They're not just bringing their guys in to turn around and hand it off, but first, you have a backup offensive line giving him time. Second, you have a backup receiver making himself open. And third, you have a backup quarterback finding him in that window. Perfect execution. Credit to Coach Shiraka for letting his guys kind of deep on the depth chart cook a little bit.
each Sunday we learned that Minnesota has practices specifically to get the younger players reps for development purposes there.
Yes, and it's unique, but if we've learned one thing about PJ Fleck, they don't really do things like everyone else.
Right.
They do things their own way, and they feel how beneficial it is.
Minnesota bound for a 2-0 start now. It would be their first 2-0 start since 2019, as you see Williams work his way ahead there. The 2019 season was obviously a historic one, went 11-2 that year, capped off by an Outback Bowl win over Auburn. PJ Fleck has been excellent in bowl games so far as head coach of Minnesota.
They come ready to play, especially late December, early January. The record speaks for itself.
That's when you start looking at those matchups with an Iowa, with Wisconsin, the big ones down the stretch. A lot of people think that Minnesota could be the one to come out of the Big Ten West.
Quite honestly, Jason, I don't see a situation how that's not their goal. I mean, they were knocking on the door in 2019, and a letdown loss to Iowa was the speed bump. And then last year, yes, there was a letdown to Iowa, but even earlier in the season, Illinois, an inexplicable loss by Gopher standards. So you got the Encore 4 coming back. 6-year guys, Tanner Morgan, John Michael Schmitz, Mo Ibrahim, and Chris Ottman-Bell, all the leaders of this team, all 6 years. This is the year that they have to get it done.
There's a dart over the middle. Incomplete. We've got several games around the conference today. There's a look at one of the leaders. For more on the leaders, down in the field for Emily Eman.
Well, Minnesota head coach PJ Fleck said the first 1 to 2 years with players are teaching years, but as you get into year 5 and 6, the players become the leaders and the teachers. And that's exactly the case with Mo Ibrahim, Tanner Morgan, and Mariano Sori-Marin. Fleck says he would love to have them on staff once their careers are through. And they're getting the reps. A few weeks into every season, you guys mentioned that Sunday night football where the younger players practice and the vets can call plays. Tanner Morgan on offense, Sori-Marin on defense, and they go head to head.
It is so cool. As Emily mentioned, they ramp up the Sunday night football theme, turn on the lights, have a little fun, and the players are the ones doing the coaching that day. How does that help you in your mindset?
It's incredible, and it's the reason why after Athan's rushing touchdown, he comes to the sideline. Tanner Morgan is the first one to greet him because he's the one calling his plays sometimes on Sunday nights. There is such a special bond. If they all took off their jerseys, you wouldn't know who's the starter, who's the backup, based off how they interact with one another. It is truly a family.
Kramer's pass incomplete there on 3rd and 8. Brings up a rare 4th down today for the Gophers. Only punted once last week. They're going to bring out the field goal unit here. Matthew Trickett from 46 yards. Tacks on to this total. It's now reached 55 for Minnesota. The special teams looking good in all facets of the game. Minnesota dominated. Football on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Look at one of your former teammates here.
Donnell and I were on the same official visit while we were in high school. And then we both showed up here the same day as freshmen in 2010. And honestly, Jason, I don't know how much I enjoyed it because as much as I loved being his teammate on Saturday, being his teammate Tuesday through Thursday was the worst. Having to hit that guy day after day after day, he is just a physical presence. And seeing him there, I mean, it just brings back so many memories. That is the perfect role for him. He is a leader. He is a guy who he wears his heart on his sleeve. And I promise you that running back room is better off with Donnell Kirkwood at the helm.
Yep. Now the running backs coach for Western Illinois. They're still finding their identity. A burst here. It is Jay Parker who slips a tackle. It's out near the 40. One of the positive special teams plays that we've seen today for Western Illinois.
And that special teams unit flashed a little something on their kick return last week. It was Jafar Armstrong who was back there, but he was rattling off a handful of 30-yard returns. He was getting to that 40-yard line with ease. So they got something special going there with the special teams.
They'll use Jay Parker and Jafar Armstrong in those roles. Now back comes the offense for the Leathernecks. And back to Nick Davenport now at QB. We've seen Henry Ogala and Davenport. What do you take away from this on film if you're Western Illinois?
Well, when we talked to Coach Myers-Hendrickson, he said, look, this is only going to be a 60-minute snapshot. But we're building something special. And again, we discussed it takes time to get your guys in there. The players that they have here have only been with this offense and this defense for a couple months. They have a ton to learn. Not to mention, about half of this roster is new to this program. So this is one of the unfortunate things of being a player when a new coach takes over, is you really don't get to appreciate it until 5 years down the road when your team is rolling and you get to say, you know what, I had some tough years, but I take pride that I helped lay a foundation.
Western Illinois forced a fumble on Minnesota's opening possession, as that's broken up by B.D. Bishop over there on the sideline. We've marveled at him today, but then Minnesota went on to score on their next 4 possessions and haven't looked back since.
No, they haven't. And again, we knew they could run the football after New Mexico State. Now they're proving that, hey, we can pass the ball as well. We thought you guys were being a little too aggressive. We wanted to make you wait for it. But here, have some passes. Are you happy now? Coach Ciarrocca definitely will have a smirk at his first press conference next week saying, are you guys satisfied? Can I do my job now, please?
You could have said that in the studio last week. Now we're going to get another look at Kirk Ciarrocca's offense when we come back.
Time on the field.
After Quentin Redding hauls it in, Gophers cruising to the finish line. Ethan Kaliakmanis back in at quarterback for Minnesota, and a perfect time to show you our Mayhem moment brought to you by Allstate. The first drive for Ethan Kaliakmanis, there's the connection with Dalen Wright, and then he capped it off himself.
What a special moment. Whatever the future holds for Ethan Kaliakmanis as he dabs up his senior leader there in Tanner Morgan. Whatever the future holds for Kaliakmanis, when he leaves this program, he will always remember this day as the first time he got in the end zone on a college football field. What a special moment for the Greek Gopher.
The Greek Gopher.
Trademark that.
This is these first couple of weeks when you might get some lopsided games are cool because you get moments like that. You recall any moment for you that stands out around these parts when it comes to those first couple of games?
Absolutely, especially as a true freshman where there is no bigger jump in life than high school to college. And your head is spinning and you're playing football out there and you're trying to find the balance of, all right, head spinning, but I can make a couple plays so coach has me out there. And this is also what I've always wanted to do my entire life. And that's what Bryce Williams has been doing his entire life, stiff arming guys as he runs down the sideline. For me, it would have been when we played USC, my true freshman year, and that was my first game starting. And of course, growing up as a California kid, I rooted for UCLA, but USC was omnipresent. And of course, all my friends back home in California were able to watch the game because it was USC. And after that game, we lost a heartbreaker. But after that game, it just really settled in. Wow, I'm actually doing this.
And that was at USC, all right?
The first one was here. Sophomore year was in California.
A lot of physicality over that position that you used to play there.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
You definitely can't do that. You definitely can't do that.
Defense number 31. 15-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
Western Illinois has their depth in there as well. He's not a starter, and that's just panicking. That's not having the game experience. These are probably his first snaps, maybe of the season. And, I don't know where the ball is. Clearly the receiver's looking for it. I can hear the crowd go, oh, what's going to happen? And a lot of young guys, they just panic and just push the guy or grab the guy. He'll learn from that moment.
It's Eli West at DB lining up against the true freshman from Minnesota, Ike White, at wide receiver. Bryce Williams keeps it on the edge, gives a little stiff arm that time to Eli West.
We talked about Mo Ibrahim and his skill set. We've talked about Trey Potts. Bryce Williams is the perfect balance. He has a little more patience like Mo, but when he gets to the open field, he's really trying to get to the open field quicker like Trey Potts. But similar to both Potts and Ibrahim, he will finish every play physically like you just saw there.
Williams up to 46 yards on the grounds. Ibrahim again over 100 yards today.
Shocker.
11th straight with 100 yards.
Jason, take a look at how many white jerseys it just took to get Bryce Williams to the ground. I mean, he is just a monster. Tapping his helmet, he deserves some water. He's more than earned that. 6 feet, 215 pounds. 1, nope. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then finally, they get him to the ground. Again, Bryce Williams and Trey Potts would be 1,000-yard rushers anywhere in the country if they weren't behind Mo Ibrahim. The fact of the matter is they all get along, they all share a workload, and it works.
How about the experience in that room? Ibrahim, 6th year on campus. Potts, 4th season. Bryce Williams, 5th year here. Now a burst, and this might be another rushing touchdown. They find the edge and in.
What a run!
60-point mark reached for Minnesota. Preston Jalen.
The redshirt senior getting into the end zone. And there he is celebrating with his guys. Look at that. That's 3 captains right there who are celebrating with him. And of course his running backs aren't too far behind. This culture is incredible. That redshirt senior finally able to punch it in, and nobody is happier for him than Mo Ibrahim. That's a special moment right there. John Michael Schmitz and every single captain being the first to congratulate him.
That's something you see so consistently around this Gopher program. The embraces, the selflessness, and everyone getting involved today. Celebrating Fansville, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. It's time to celebrate Fansville and college football with an ice cold Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve. Rockin' atmosphere that you played in for several years. How good does it feel to be back?
Oh, this just reminds me of my high school visit. I walked out there, the game was Halloween night, they beat Michigan State. The second I walked out of that tunnel to watch pregame, I saw these crazy fans. I said, my mom doesn't know it yet, but I'm coming to school here.
A night game last week for these Gopher fans. Today they showed up for the day game. The students brought the energy for an 11 a.m. kick, and so did the players.
Nothing better than an early start, as long as you win.
Right.
As long as you win. Nothing better than an early start.
And as I've learned from you today, because it's an early start, players can walk around and hold their heads up pretty high for the rest of this day.
No need to rush to take a shower and change. Wear your stuff out there, you know?
They've tacked up 674 yards of total offense today to the delight of this crowd. Thanks, Dave. 62 spot on the board for Minnesota, and Goldie doing 62 push-ups because of it. That fabric,
that's going to add some weight. The sun's out. There's a lot going on. We had a Goldie when I was playing who was at least 6'7". We're looking at him like, dude, put some pads on. Can you rush a quarterback? You can get out there.
That's a fun visual. Nassim Brantley, who's been very quiet today for Western Illinois. He was one of our topics going into this game. He had a standout performance a week ago against UT Martin, but credit these DBs for Minnesota.
They had him locked down. They tried that fade early on, and actually came back to it again, but Again, last week, they tossed that fade up to him 5 or 6 times before finally connecting. Something about Wally and Smith, and these defensive backs said, 2 is enough. We're going to get away from this.
Dave Revson, Jerry DiNardo, and Howard Griffith recap the entire day of football on the Final Drive, presented by Auto Owners Insurance, tonight at 11:30 Eastern on the Big Ten Network. That'll be a fun one. We got a late night matchup between Hawaii and Michigan at the Big House today. Our friends Jake Butt, Lisa Byington, Megan McEwen on the call for that one. That should be fun. One of the longer plays we've seen today for Western Illinois. By the way, Jake is one of the people picking Minnesota to make it to the Big Ten championship game.
Much appreciated, Jake. Very appreciated. And right now, Jason, Minnesota and Coach Rossi, he's just sitting back in a soft zone, and Nick Davenport is just taking what's underneath. There's a lot of space, but as we get closer to the red zone, they'll probably start to tighten down from the soft cover too.
For Minnesota, when you're up 62-3, you mentioned different schemes there. Can you still work on things right now?
Yes. Now, it's difficult because Western Illinois is just trying to get some points on the board, right? You want to leave this game with a touchdown. So it's almost like a 2-minute situation. They're going to come out slinging it, chucking it. They got nothing to lose like you're seeing here.
They go to their go-to target, Nassim Brantley, who makes a catch in the end zone. A beautiful one. Double covered there. Caught a few deep balls last week. Hadn't seen it yet today until now.
Oh, he went up and got that one. I guess I got to take the blame for this one. I said they got away from the fade, and there it is. And with Nassim Brantley, look, Nick Davenport is a gunslinger. And when you trust your guy, single covered, double covered, triple covered, there's certain plays you just throwing up and let God deal with it.
He was the Missouri Valley Conference Newcomer of the Week last week. Transferred to Western Illinois this season from Sacred Heart. (62-10), Minnesota still nice and comfy after Nassim Brantley's touchdown. For the biggest Minnesota experience, there's no plus like home. The Big Ten Plus app powered by Big Ten Network. Your favorite Gophers content streaming and on demand. Plus iconic games and exclusive events only on the Big Ten Plus app. Download and subscribe today. You mentioned some of the games that were memorable that you played in for Minnesota, that USC game. If you're a Gopher fan, would highly recommend checking that out. Dip into some history, rewatch some games.
Oh, without question. Don't watch the 2013 matchup of Minnesota Western Illinois. From this point forward, you watch this version of the game only.
This is the positive memory that erases your PTSD.
You know, Jason, you were asking me just a second ago, what can you take from these late in the game? You got your depth out there defensively. And Tariq Watson was the freshman there who got scored on. And he's a freshman. This is likely his first game experience.
Kicking team. Minnesota's likely to take the ball at the 35-yard line. First down.
And it may not seem like a big thing, but no matter how good of a DB you are, you're going to get scored on, right? Jalen Ramsey got scored on just a couple nights ago, right? And there is something about getting it out of the way. There is this relief of a defensive back thinking, man, nothing can get behind me. It's gonna happen. And that young man gets to go forward thinking, well, it happened, and it wasn't that bad. So now I can go out and play stress-free. It's out of the way. It's over.
High QB, you think DB may be underrated as one of the hardest positions to play in this game?
It's the thankless job.
The thankless job.
It's the most thankless. If you do your job all day long, unless you get a bunch of interceptions, the story of the game is going to be, man, that offense, man, that quarterback couldn't find a receiver, as if somebody wasn't covering him, right? But if you get beat deep, it's going to be, well, what the heck is that cornerback doing? It is a thankless job, but you got to have the right mindset to be out there, because if you do it well, you can be a hero.
Go unnoticed.
There you go.
Cole Kramer in at quarterback for Minnesota. We've seen Tanner Morgan, who had an excellent day, very efficient right from the start. Ethan Kaliakmanis picked up his first career touchdown, the redshirt freshman as well. You look back at Morgan's day, 14 of 18, 287 through the air. 1 touchdown, a few deep shots in there as well.
How many touchdowns today and last week were just quarterback sneaks?
Yeah.
They have to be leading in the country quarterback sneak touchdowns. But you know what? If you're lined up behind John Michael Schmitz, I'll follow that guy anywhere. So I can't blame him. But I feel they're going to start a new record. How many games this season consecutively can we get a quarterback sneak in?
We're coming up on 700 total yards of offense as you go deeper into the depth chart here. 372 through the air, 305 on the ground.
And I love the depth at running back that they're showing now. Everybody's getting a carry as this clock winds down. You know, Mo leaves, and then Trey leaves, then Bryce leaves, and Jordan Newman, the younger brother of standout safety Tyler Newman, got some love. Max Grand, the freshman, right there, getting some love. It's always exciting to see what future Gophers are looking like.
Rare punts coming up.
Jason, if I could, the greatest run of the day belongs to Preston Jalen. Like, the more I think about it, the more I keep replaying that in my mind. That is the run of the day.
Gotta love the hugs at the end of that, too. Him being such an experienced player. He was embraced very warmly on the sidelines. Get a quick break here. A little over 2 minutes to go in the fourth. There's Jalen Preston. We'll look back on this one with fond memories. Scheduled to air next, the Big Ten Live football game break presented by Velveeta breaks down all the action and gets you ready for the rest of our triple header. The row the boat signs are up. They're all over the practice facility. But you gotta love the philosophy that PJ Fleck has carried over from Western Michigan to Minnesota. Fun to see everyone get involved today. Showed Preston Jalen prior to that break. There's PJ. Some of the numbers today just outstanding. Record-breaking again last week, record-breaking on defense. Today, record-breaking on offense under PJ Fleck.
If we've learned anything, this offense is just always breaking some kind of record. No record is safe with this 2022 team.
Looking ahead at Minnesota here. Talked about Colorado next week. Buffs will be in search of revenge after Minnesota shut them out last season in Boulder. Then you circle that against Michigan State on the 24th.
That is when it's time to go. Michigan State had an incredible year. They showed some weaknesses in the defensive backfield, so while Minnesota loves to run the football, you better believe Chris Autman-Bell is licking his chops, and Purdue is going to be a special one. Yes, they fell to Penn State. That is a special team that will be competing for a Big Ten West championship as well.
Those will be a tough couple of weeks, starting off in East Lansing.
That Penn State game, also, it has been announced, will be the whiteout game. Anyone who watches Penn State football, you better be ready. It doesn't get more aggressive, we'll say, than playing in that whiteout. But, of course, first things first, Colorado, after getting embarrassed at home in Boulder a year ago, oh boy, that was ugly. They're going to come in, they're going to be upset, and they're going to want to rewrite what went wrong last year.
Yep. Won't be an easy route out of the Big Ten West. East Lansing, the site of where PJ Fleck's first game as a head coach for Western Michigan took place back when he was 31 years of age. Still feels like he's got the legs of a 31-year-old running around at practice. We loved his kicks yesterday. He had a little bounce to his step. 62-10. Minnesota just looking at the finish line now.
On a patronizing Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
That's called an off tackle. That's where the running back runs.
I know what it is. Did you just fansplain me?
I'm sorry. I was out of bounds. That's where a player steps back.
Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve.
Brock, we got a busy schedule today on Big Ten Network. Kicking off at 11 a.m. with Minnesota. Now they're looking at the finish line. Any games circled on your calendar? Iowa State coming up.
That's the one. That's the one for me. Now, while I don't like that the trophy they play for is just called the Cyhawk, it feels lazy just to combine Cyclone and Hawkeye. Iowa's offense is better than that. They have to be. They have one of the most dangerous defenses in college football. They don't need much out of their offense. They just need more than that, because if we know one thing about that Iowa team, you can never count them out. Early on last year, early on the year before, the first couple weeks, it's always the same. Iowa's going to struggle. No, they're going to find a way to win 8 games minimum. But again, that offense has to step it up, but I believe they're better than what they show.
Inside of the final minute now. You look around Nebraska, Georgia Southern today, Akron, Michigan State. Ohio State was on display, Rutgers, Purdue, Indiana, Wisconsin as well. But here in Minneapolis, the Golden Gophers take care of business. PJ Fleck and the staff had a 38-0 shutout a week ago. Told us they wanted the execution to improve. Offensively, they rack up career bests under PJ Fleck, 679 total yards of offense. As you see a meeting there with first-year head coach Myers Hendrickson on the Western Illinois side of things. Ibrahim, spectacular once again, 11th straight game with at least 100 yards, a school record prolonged. Let's get down to Emily on the sideline.
Coach, 677 yards of total offense, the most in your era and the most since 2004. What impressed you most about this group?
Just like last week, they were workmanlike. We had a game plan. Challenge was to execute the game plan. Didn't matter who we play. Got to be able to execute the game plan. A lot of respect towards Western Illinois, but we got to do what we do. And I thought they came out and did that. They also were hit with some adversity. Right off the bat, a fumble in the opening drive that they had to respond from. So we haven't had that yet, so it was good to be able to see that.
You told me before the game you wanted to see violent Big Ten football. What did you see that violence play out with your defense?
Well, I thought the defense did a great job rallying around the football, getting people on the ground. But I thought what helped was we were able to score multiple times in the second half early with some explosive plays, so that always helps.
Coach, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, brother. Most guy, Go Gophers.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Coach. Once again, our final score, 62-10 for Minneapolis. Coming up on the Big Ten Network, our football triple header continues as Iowa takes on Iowa State. Or other great action for Brock Vereen, Emily Eman, and our outstanding crew. I'm Jason Ross Jr. Thanks for watching. For now, let's send it to Dave Rebson in the studio for the Big Ten Live Football Game Break presented by Velveeta.